Today, I have somewhere quite unique in store for you. I'm at Nothe Fort in Dorset. If you Google Nothe Fort, you will no doubt find a story about the Whistling Gunner, easily the most notorious and well-known story linked to the fort. Ironic, really, that this story has been debunked as absolutely false. This story of the Whistling Gunner was made up by a volunteer to try and conjure more visitors to the fort. This is my favourite part. When I was doing the walk around earlier, this is pretty epic. This is the old water tank. This is really amazing acoustics. I mean, I really want to burst into like opera song, to be honest, right now. But so at the risk of putting Weymouth into disrepute, I've got permission. I'm allowed to do this, which sort of spoils the fun, but this is an air raid siren. The TV plays a 15-minute film, just in case you were wondering. You can't sit here and watch daytime TV.
This is the wartime broadcasting service. This country has been attacked with nuclear weapons. Communications have been severely disrupted.
Obviously, we are in slightly dubious times at the moment, and I asked the question, would this be used in the instance of nuclear war? And apparently this fort can be bunker ready within 45 minutes. So, outfit of the day. As I keep saying, the fort is now a museum, and groups of school children come down here to try on things from the World War. Next is the ghost package. Next. Sorry. I'm just going to do it out here, I can't speak. Welcome back to the Brocarde Show. Today I have somewhere quite unique in store for you. I'm at Nothe Fort in Dorset, in Weymouth in fact, and this is a fortress which is allegedly haunted. Now, there's some fictional ghosts of Nothe Fort, and there's also some real life ghost sightings. So come with me on this little adventure. I'm going to try and distinguish what is fact and what is fiction. Either way, this place is hugely fascinating for anyone interested in history. So regardless of the spooks, this could be a fun little adventure. Let's go underground. Before I venture deep into the passages underground here at Nothe Fort, a fun little historical fact. This fort was actually used to store ammunition during World War II, so it has a hell of a lot of history. I'm going to start my little adventure on the magazine level. This was where the ammunition was stored. All of those explosives were stacked inside the little archives in the walls. Today, Nothe Fort functions as a museum. That's why you'll see these kind of exhibition placards set up all around these underground passages. There is an exhibition on D-Day, and there's some quite sad stories if you wanted to go down a historical route and kind of explore some of that. There are some quite sad stories about those soldiers. Some of them would have spent their last night on Earth in the grounds of the fort, because some of them sadly did not return from that war. So there's a little bit of sadness, and there's always sadness linking these historical sites. So yeah, one to bear in mind, regardless of the ghosts, real people came through these walls, real people fought real battles. So there's a lot of historical facts that I don't want to kind of ignore. You know, I'm here to focus on the spooks. As always, I'm here to uncover the ghost stories, but behind those ghost stories, there's some real life stories, and people had fantastic and chilling life experiences here. If you Google Nothe Fort, you will no doubt find a story about the Whistling Gunner, easily the most notorious and well-known story linked to the fort. Ironic, really, that this story has been debunked as absolutely false. This story of the Whistling Gunner was made up by a volunteer to try and conjure more visitors to the fort. I kind of think about this topic so much lately. I have said very publicly lately that the more I do ghost hunts, the less I believe in ghosts, because there is that thing where these locations are trying to add a little bit of magic, a little bit of intrigue, drum up a little bit of publicity. So you can never really trust whether a paranormal sighting is a paranormal sighting or is in fact part of a very elaborate marketing plan to conjure some light on a venue which may need a few more visitors. The other thing that's quite interesting about the Whistling Gunner is apparently a paranormal team came down here and actually captured some whistling. The whistling that they captured on film is said to have been genuine and not faked by anyone. So we now have a fake Whistling Gunner and a potential real whistling ghost. So two very contrasting sides to one story. Make of that what you will. And this is the passageway behind me, apparently, where the whistling sounds came from. And I think it's quite important to explain that obviously this is a fort. We're underground. There's a lot of noises. We're on the seafront. There's a lot of residual echoes. These are kind of hollowed out passageways. It's quite a cool environment. Like, there's a lot kind of atmospherically going on down here, even in the middle of the day. And it always intrigues me why people just go ghost hunting at night. Ghosts can appear at any moment of the day. Anyway, as always with these historical places, there are a lot of natural elements at play. So is something paranormal? Is something just an atmospheric noise linked to the historic structure of the building? I think a lot of the time people get skeptical about ghost sightings because they're always so vague and always so random. You know, it's a few footsteps here or there. And these buildings are very rarely empty. In fact, today it is empty because they have let me come in here while it's closed to the public. But typically on a paranormal investigation, you will have groups of people coming down here. You will have a member of staff on site overseeing the operation. So can we conclusively say that any sound is spiritual or human? It begs the question, what evidence are we looking for when we go ghost hunting? Aside from full body apparitions and being grabbed and those more dramatic ghost sightings, a lot of paranormal investigations do bring up things that are quite normal and quite explainable. So the plot thickens. Peeking out over my shoulder, you may be able to see a sign that says Ghost Passage Exit. This passage is actually for entertainment purposes, and it is a dark passage where they tell children to be careful because they may hear the sound of the Whistling Gunner. Does that mean it's not haunted? No, it could be haunted too, but perhaps not in the way that everyone thinks. This is my favourite part. When I was doing the walk around earlier, this is pretty epic. This is the old water tank, which used to be where all the water was to supply the fort. Now it's a hollowed out shell, but it's got some pretty sick residual echo. As soon as I go in there, you will absolutely notice the huge difference in my audio. But let's go and have some fun in the water tank. So this is really amazing acoustics. I mean, I really want to burst into like opera song, to be honest, right now. But for historical context and historical purpose, this tank could store 6 months' supply of water, which of course could keep a vast amount of the population alive during the war. So, fun fact, you can call out into the abyss. That's pretty sick. I could literally stand here all day and just make random noises just to hear them back, but I wouldn't say that was a ghost responding, would you? Oh! Cool. I'm going to hang out in the water tank all afternoon. I've actually lost interest in the ghost now. I just want to stay in here with my echo and have some fun. What is quite interesting about the fort is that a lot of the ghost stories come from children. And I don't mean that there are a lot of sightings of children ghosts. A lot of the paranormal activity and the paranormal logs are of small children sensing something a little bit untoward. This very room behind me at Christmas time was a Santa's grotto, and there is a very known story that a young boy ran into this room. He completely ignored the fact that Santa was sitting in this corner, and he pointed towards this other corner here and said, "Man, man, man," and ran out because he was absolutely horrified. Many people believe that he actually saw the apparition of a ghost in that corner, which led him to completely ignore Santa and getting a present. And I guess that's quite an interesting paranormal account, because if you sort of debunk the child's mind, a lot of children do sense and feel paranormal activity. There are a lot of theories behind this, like a child's mind is relatively honest, like to the point where a child can point at a lady and go, "She's fat." Like a child's mind is very unfiltered, very honest, and they would really have no reason to make up that they were seeing something, and they wouldn't really know too much about ghosts. So some people would say that is a pure ghost sighting, but children also have very active imaginations, and I believe the fort was also telling Christmas ghost stories at the time, so that child may have been influenced slightly. I mean, we will never know the answer to this question, and it's just I'm just sharing the story for context. We're talking about ghost sightings down here. And actually, this fort does have a paranormal team. But when you kind of look into the ghost sightings, there really aren't that many conclusive, strong ghost stories. So is it haunted? Is it not haunted? You decide. I mean, if you come down to Weymouth, it's definitely worth coming down underground and taking a little look and seeing if you sense and feel something for yourself. So this is the room where apparently there's a man in the corner. There's no man in the corner now. There is a TV in the corner now. Not a ghost, an actual TV. Yeah. The TV plays a 15-minute film, just in case you were wondering. You can't sit here and watch daytime TV. It's for historical education purposes. I'm kind of getting delirious. So I was talking earlier about artillery being stored down here in these vaults, and this is what I was talking about. You can see behind that there is some cannon shells on the floor, and this is what it would have been like down here. There would have been hundreds of those stacked up down here, because of course the huge cannons used to blast from the top of the fort.
This is the wartime broadcasting service. This country has been attacked with nuclear weapons. Communications have been severely disrupted, and the number of casualties and the extent of the damage are not yet known. We shall bring you further information as soon as possible. Meanwhile, stay true to this wavelength, stay calm, and stay in your own rules.
So here at Nothe Fort there is a nuclear bunker. The announcement that you just heard is what actually happened in the war when they were under nuclear attack. Everyone had to go underground and pray for their lives, I guess. So I asked the question, obviously we are in slightly dubious times at the moment, and I asked the question, would this be used in the instance of nuclear war? And apparently this fort can be bunker ready within 45 minutes. So just so you know, hopefully, fingers crossed, we do not ever get to that point, but it's quite surreal times to come here and look back at what happened during World War II when it feels like we are on the brink of another World War. So quite eerie in some ways, but hopefully this place remains a museum and our lives continue in the way that we know and love. And inside the nuclear bunker, this is the communication hub. I actually find it really strange. I have not seen a ghost. I've not seen any kind of apparitions while I've been here. But just outside this room, just along this corridor of the nuclear bunker, I could actually smell like a really musty scent. For those of you who've ever smelled mothballs, it was a really strong scent of like mothballs and damp, almost like an old clothing smell. So that's the kind of only thing that I've sensed down here. And sometimes with paranormal activity, smells are a genuine thing. There are those famous ghost stories of people having a scent of lavender and an old lady walking past, and smells can be linked to paranormal activity. Luckily, mothballs are no longer a thing, but that smell is so distinct, and in that era they were commonplace in every wardrobe. if you had a nan or a great nan and you open their wardrobe doors, you would know that smell of mothballs. And I just got that hitting me in the face just outside this room. So that is my fascinating takeaway from this adventure so far. Outfit of the day. As I keep saying, the fort is now a museum, and groups of school children come down here to try on things from the World War, to have a genuine World War II experience. So I thought I would join in the festivities and sport this little hat. Cute, don't you think? That's enough of that. There is a whole table of things laid out. There's gas masks to try, and all of these things form part of our history. I mean, the scary thing about living through COVID times, gas masks almost became a thing of our reality. Fingers crossed we don't go into World War III, because that could be a very stark reality. But for the purpose of history, you can come down here and try on a gas mask, try on a hat, and immerse yourself in what life may have been like during World War II. There is also the most exciting thing, and I'm a big kid, but I am going to do something. Hold that thought. So, at the risk of putting Weymouth into disrepute, I've got permission, I'm allowed to do this, which sort of spoils the fun, but this is an air raid siren. Oh, I almost distracted myself by ringing that siren, but this area is really odd. I got that musty smell again, and I just got chills all the way up my body. So if anywhere is a paranormal hotspot in Nothe Fort, I would say it is this area, this passageway here, because there's a lot of odd things going on, a lot of odd atmospheric changes. I don't know what to pin those on. I don't know what to pin the smell on. That was it's almost like someone was walking past. You know when someone walks past and you get the lynx effect, like they've got really strong aftershave on. It was like that, but like sort of mothballs wafting past. And the most interesting, apart from the air raid siren, the door is locked. This is a Cold War bunker, and apparently they're going to open this up for paranormal teams to spend the night in a bunker. The door's locked. This is obviously the most visual and exciting part of the fort, I think. Well, I don't know. Perhaps it's just the fact that I can't get to it, so I'm imagining it. And also, if this is the most paranormally active spot, this passageway here, and this is a bunker filled with bunk beds, then a night here with the mothball ghost could be where it's at. Never mind the whistling gunner. Let's figure out who is making that mothball scent that I keep getting in this corridor. I'm out of the nuclear bunker now, and this is really, really cool. If you love vintage things and you love history, this is worth a look, and I get physically excited when I see things like this. I am an old soul, so I absolutely love anything from the vintage era. In fact, my nan used to own a shop, and she had hundreds and hundreds of souvenirs and mementos from this kind of time period, so it's very nostalgic for me. So if you come to Nothe Fort, don't forget to check out the vintage shop. Come with me. So they have a replica shop, and ironically, this is so close to what my nan's shop used to look like. In fact, she was like an old-fashioned type of person, so she kept her shop looking like this, and she kept the old stuff far after we had modernized and we had moved on. So really, really nostalgic. And as you will know, during the World War, food was rationed, and so this is what you would get as your chocolate ration per week, a Kit Kat, which was 3p. And because it was rationed, they changed the wrapper to blue. Normally, as you know, Kit Kats are always red, but during the war, Kit Kats were blue to symbolise this is all the chocolate that you're going to get this week. So yeah, imagine sharing that between a family of 4, 5, 6. A little bit of chocolate has to go a long way during the war. And the old scales and all of these tins, camp coffee. I am old enough, sadly, to remember camp coffee. It's basically liquid coffee extracts, and you pour hot water into it. So yeah, Oxo, we all know Oxo, Marmite, Bovril, all the old faves. So yeah, this is really cool. It's like sort of stepping back in time. And I guess if you're a young kid coming here with school, this is quite exciting because very, very different from a modern day supermarket. And of course, shit, that's heavy. Sweets used to come like this, hence the scales. So you would have a quarter of Murray fruits, or a half if you were very greedy, but I think a quarter was standard measurements back then, before grams were introduced, so showing my age now. See, I'm having so much fun here that I'm actually forgetting the paranormal element, which is rather unusual for me. This has turned into some sort of historic discovery tour, but as I said, there aren't that many ghosts to document, so I thought I'd showcase this place for the historic location that it is. Oh, I just got that spine tingling feeling, almost like something was tickling the back of my neck. Very, very strange. I was just saying that, yeah, some areas here, I don't know what it is. It's definitely this side of the fort, but there's just a few strange feelings. Like, I'm not saying I'm visually seeing the apparition of a spirit, but yeah, quite strange. And then that waft again, the musty mothball smell, so interesting one. If I keep smelling it, I'm just going to keep saying it. It's going to sound strange because obviously I'm on camera, you can't smell, so you're going to have to take my word on the smells. It's definitely a mothball ghost. Anyway, think next is the ghost package. Next. Sorry. I'm just going to do it out here, I can't speak. As I mentioned earlier, Nothe Fort has its own paranormal team. They do ghost tours here. They play into their haunted history. And as I said, one of the volunteers made up a ghost here. And they also have a ghost passage. What is a ghost passage? No, it's not necessarily a passage where you're going to meet a ghost, although that is a possibility. This is a passage that is dimly lit, so you can walk down and feel the spooky, eerie vibes. So come take a walk with me down Ghost Passage. I mean, because it's completely dark, the atmosphere does shift. However, in my opinion, the ghost passage is not the most eerie part underground at Nothe Fort. There is a very mischievous part of my personality that will always want to venture underground first. But in this instance, I actually saved the best till last, because above ground is the Victorian gun deck. And if you're into cannons, this is the place to be. And this is actually a paranormal hotspot. To the very back of this room is where paranormal activity has occurred. And this is actually the second time I've recorded this clip. The first time, it magically got erased. Make of that what you will. Is it a poltergeist? Is it a ghost? I actually made a joke about a poltergeist, which was actually a member of staff. And then the camera completely froze. So this is take 2. However, I'm going to take you to the spot where there are apparently some ghosts lurking. So this is the far end of the Victorian gun deck, and this is another ghost story that involves children. Not ghost children, but children seeing ghosts. There was a group of children doing a sleepover on the gun deck, and several different children independently reported hearing footsteps and strange noises in the middle of the night. They do say when several different sources report the exact same thing in the exact same place at the exact same time, it is more than just a coincidence. But was it paranormal, or was it their overactive imaginations? I have had a fascinating little adventure today. Have I got any closer to discovering any ghosts? Is Nothe Fort halted? I actually can't speak. Something has got my tongue. Perhaps a poltergeist has stolen my tongue, because today I'm struggling to string a sentence together. Maybe I need more caffeine, maybe I need to get some Monster Energy, but talking is a struggle. And what I was trying to articulate is Nothe Fort. Is Nothe Fort? See, this is like a blooper reel, and it's supposed to be a outro. Is this place haunted? I do not have a definitive answer. We have dismissed some ghost stories as completely fictional, but there is apparently some whistling still going on, and there are a lot of children that have encountered ghosts. From a personal level, I have not seen a ghost. I have sensed a few very chilling things in certain areas. Of course, I've had that sensory explosion that can often be linked to paranormal activity. Explosion. I'm literally being influenced by the large amount of cannons surrounding me. Anyway, I feel like it's time that I need to go and take a nap or something, because my brain is clearly overworked. So I hope you enjoyed that. Like, for me, that was quite fun from a history perspective. I had a nice little adventure, so it's worth coming here, regardless of whether you're on a ghost hunt or on the tourist trail, and check it out for yourself. Make up your own mind. Is Nothe Fort haunted, or is it all just spiraled from that volunteer years and years ago creating a whistling apparition? Until next time, if you enjoyed that, follow, like, subscribe, show me some love, and there'll be more madness from me in future. So goodbye.